guys, I'm so excited to be painting with you guys for our virtual painting class for your father's son event. So if you guys don't know already, we will be painting Mr. Redlegs today. All right, don't get intimidated, guys. I included cutouts, which you guys should all have one, of the mustache. We have cutouts eyes to make it easier for you guys. So there is a friendly little competition going on. If you guys post this, your painting, once it's finished, on River Ridge's Facebook page, a picture of you and your dad's painting, they're going to be giving away, drum roll, this is super exciting, an iPad, brand new iPad. So super exciting. I can't wait to see what you guys create, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing all those pictures on Facebook. So once you're finished with this painting, I want you to go ahead and snap a picture and post it on their Facebook page, and good luck to whoever wins. Super cool. So real quick, before we get started, I'm going to go over a couple of the items that you should have in front of you. Cup of water, clean your brushes with, several paper towels. I would go ahead and just bring the whole roll over. You should have a large paintbrush and a flat, medium-sized paintbrush to do all the fine lines. All right, let's see. And of course, your cutouts that we have, and your canvas. All right, so real quick, I'm going to show you what your paint plate should look like. I want you to go ahead and just dump a little of the paint on your plate, not a whole bunch of it. I want you to make sure that you have enough. We are going to start with the background first, and the background is actually going to be a gray color, as you can see. We're going to paint this background gray. I know you see all the markings and stuff on here. This is where your competition can get a little fun. I'll show you different brush strokes that you can use to make this. You can actually paint whatever you want on the front. You can say go reds underneath, just so you can stand out a little bit for the competition. And yeah, just get creative with this. I want you guys to put your own personal touch on that background. But I think a light gray is gonna work great for everyone. So we are gonna go ahead and mix. I have a lot of white on here and just a little dot of the black. I might even add a little more white to this, so I have a matching color. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip my camera. And also, before you get started, whatever surface you're painting on, I like to have, you can put newspaper down, you can put a plastic tablecloth down. I have a cardboard box I just found around the house, so I went ahead, put that down to make sure I don't ruin my surface. I've ruined plenty of surfaces before. I don't want you guys to get in trouble, so go ahead and do that as well. And I'm gonna flip this camera around, okay? And then we'll get started. All right, everyone, here we go. We're gonna go ahead and get started on this. And if I didn't mention it before, make sure you have a little pencil so we can trace out the circle of the head and everything, the mustache, the eyes. I like to trace my paintings out before I get started, so. All right, let's pull your canvas up. First things first, all right. I'm gonna take just the plate, one of the plates that you have. If you already put the paint on there, it's okay. You can trace it that way, it's not a big deal. I have an extra plate here, so I'm gonna use this. And I'm gonna go about 2 inches up from the bottom. And if you need to get a roller out to measure for anything, go ahead and do that. Makes you feel better. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just outline the paper plate. And it's gonna be perfect for Mr. Redlegs' head. All right. Next up, I'm gonna take my large paintbrush. I like to loosen the bristles up. So I'm gonna put it in my water, take a paper towel, and dry it up real good. Make sure it's nice and dry. And then we're gonna mix the black and white paint. Let's make sure we have a pretty light gray. I don't want you to have a super dark background that's gonna wash out. your painting. I want it to be pretty light, so if you have too much black in there, and I'm telling you, black goes a long way with the paint. It can make it pretty dark if you add too much, so maybe just start with a little bit of the black, and if that looks too dark, which I kind of think it does, I'm just going to add a little more white to it. I don't want my background to be too dark. All right, we're getting there. Keep stirring until it's completely blended. All right, let's get going. I like to start from the very top and work my way over. So I'm probably gonna mention this a lot. If you are right-handed, I want you to paint from your left to your right. So always start this way so you don't get paint on your hand and smear your painting. And that's gonna go when we do the eyes, everything, tracing everything. You wanna make sure that you do not rub your hand in with the paint. All right, when you get close to the circle, which I'm just trying to get all this extra paint off, because there's a lot on there. So I'm gonna just keep blending it, but when you get close to that circle, I want you to go ahead and outline it as so. Try to stay outside of the middle. If you go inside, it's okay. And also, if you have a lot of excess paint, just pull that out, down, pull that excess paint down, and just blend it, okay? So I feel like I have a little extra paint up here. I'm just gonna pull it over and make sure I blend it. I like to go up and down, blend the paint. Just makes it nice and smooth. And honestly, you guys, background, I don't want you to be intimidated by this. I know everyone that hasn't painted for a long time, I'm sure a lot of the dads haven't painted since they were in probably school. So it's been lots of years. I don't want you to overthink the background. Just get the paint on there and start blending it, okay? When I pull my paint, I'm just gonna dab it. Just a little paint goes a long way. You can always pull up more too. But you don't wanna cake your brush in a bunch of paint. It just makes it hard to spread. Gives you too much paint on the canvas in certain spots. And I don't want you to have to wait for this to dry. It might take all night to dry if you put too much paint on it. All right, I'm just gonna finish that circle I was doing. And if you don't feel comfortable using your big brush to outline this, go ahead and grab your small brush. I want you to feel comfortable doing this whole painting. So if you are a little nervous about, or if it's going inside too much, the line, go ahead and grab this brush and outline it with this brush, okay? It'll just give you more control and leeway with your painting. All right. So who is excited for it to finally be spring? I am so happy to have sunny days and warmer days in our future. Baseball, I'm so excited about baseball this year. And opening days coming up. They're letting fans in, it sounds like. You're allowed to go to games. Unlike last season, I am so excited to go to a couple games this year. It's probably one of my favorite childhood memories is going to games with my family. My dad used to get us, I'm one of 9 kids, so he would take the whole crew and we would sit in some awesome seats right on the foul line and we catch all the foul balls. So that's always a wonderful childhood memory of mine. Getting hot dogs and nachos, peanuts. I remember a foul ball came my way. I wasn't paying attention. I was probably eating one of those ice cream sundaes out of one of the little helmet heads. Anyways, this ball was coming towards me and my brother reached out with his hand to save me because it was gonna come and hit, it was about to hit me in the face. And he basically stopped the ball from hitting me and I think he broke a couple fingers, but he saved my life. And I think the person sitting in front of us ended up getting the foul ball. So, my poor brother. He saved me that day though. All right, so I have my background completely covered. I want you to go ahead and paint your edges. So you're just gonna take your canvas and paint all of your edges as so. It just looks nicer once you have this hanging up to have your edges completely covered in the same front. Go ahead and do that. All right. Dads, you should share some of your childhood memories, maybe going to the baseball games, Red Stadium, if you guys are from around here, grew up around here. If you're able to attend the games when you were a kid. Back in the day, they used to have 2 separate, or just one stadium for the football. The Bengals and the Reds shared a stadium. We're so lucky to have 2 different stadiums now. All right. Doesn't have to be perfect, guys. So I just want you to make sure you completely cover the canvas. If you see a spot on here, I see a little one here, where my canvas is kind of showing in the back, I didn't cover it completely. Just go ahead and take your paint and pull that through. All right, we're getting there. I like to make noises when I paint. Also love listening to music while I paint. Just brings so much relaxation to my life. All right, now we're gonna let that dry. Needs to be pretty dry before we start on the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and, we need to completely clean this brush. So I'm sticking it in the water. If you have your sink next to you, you can go ahead and rinse that in your sink just to get all that excess water off or excess paint off there. You don't want any of that gray showing or popping up. Also, if you have a hair dryer handy, that's always a fast, quick way to get this dry. So if you have a hair dryer, go grab that and you can start drying your canvas. All right. Make sure my brush is completely dry. So next thing we're gonna do is paint the middle, the circle. We're gonna paint it completely white. So you're gonna take your white paint, and like I said before, you can use either brush, whatever you feel more comfortable with. So I'm gonna go ahead, take my white paint. You guys, I want you to have a little more control when you do this. When I pull my paint, I like to go like this on both sides, so it's nice and flat. And then I like to start on the outer edges and just paint. Now, the paint doesn't go a long way, but it just gives you a cleaner line. I don't want you to cake the paint on here. Just grab a little paint each time, okay? and then you can put a little more paint when you get into the middle. But like I said before, you're gonna paint, if you're right-handed, you're gonna start your painting always on the left side. And if you are a lucky left-hander, I want you to start from the right side and work your way to the left, okay? Just so you don't get paint all over your hands. You'll be a mess. And then once we start on all the fine lines and stuff, I don't want you messing up your painting by rubbing it in and smearing it. All right. So I have 3 kiddos. I don't know about you guys if you play sports or not, but my kids are playing soccer and softball this season, and their first games got canceled already because of the rain. They were super bummed out about it. But guess what? I keep telling them, this time last year, we did not have any sports going on, so I think we're all just happy to be able to be playing sports and with our friends and going to practices. Thank goodness, right? All right, so as I'm working around, I'm gonna keep my canvas like this, but I want you guys to feel comfortable. You can turn your canvas if it makes it easier to paint. Don't be afraid to move your canvas around. I sometimes like to hold my canvas up and work too, so whatever you feel comfortable with. And then you're just gonna completely cover this all in white paint. All right, if you guys have radio around you, put on some music. Enjoy the process, relax. Grab a snack if you want a snack. I always like to have my water, or I love coffee, so I have my coffee over here. Gonna be sipping on. And at any point, if you guys need to pause the video, use the restroom, or grab something, or if I'm going a little too fast for you, go ahead and just push that pause button. All right. And finished with that. Go ahead and stick your brush in your water. We're gonna have to wait for this to dry, so if you have that hairdryer, go ahead and grab it. Let it dry. We're gonna go ahead and sketch out your mustache and your eyeball. So you're gonna take your pencil and do that, but I need to wait till this dries. All right, friends, I think we're ready for the next step. All right, so as you can see on the painting, what we're gonna do to measure this out, and if you do have a ruler, you can go ahead and pull that out if it makes it easier for you. We're gonna go approximately a little over 1 inch from the bottom for the mustache. So I'm gonna go ahead and place that just as so. Make sure it's pretty centered. All right. And all you're gonna do is take your pencil and trace it. Easy peasy, right? Go ahead and trace it out. All right, that step is finished. All right, now you can see how it comes down a little bit, the head. So I'm gonna go ahead and just sketch a little line there, just so you have an idea of where your hat's gonna be and the placement of where your eyeballs are gonna be. So you wanna leave a little bit of room for the eyebrows. So I'm just gonna set that just like that. So the eyes line up pretty much right where this part of the mustache goes. You can pretty much eyeball it though. And you're not gonna trace this little part right here. You're just gonna go ahead and connect the lines right here. That's just to show you the space of how far apart the eyeballs should be. So go ahead. Sorry, my hands are getting in the way here. Go ahead and trace that out, and don't put the line in between the eyes. If you do that, you're gonna have to probably put white paint over top because it's gonna be hard to use the eraser on that white. All right, friends. Then just gonna take that and boop, connect them up. All right, we are getting somewhere. So, as you can see, you have your items traced out. I am gonna just give you a little advice. If you want, you can grab a dime or a penny and do your eyeballs. As you can see, the eyes, just a little circle thing right here. So I'm just gonna trace that out as well on both sides. Like I said, you can use a dime or a penny if it makes you feel a little more at ease doing that. All right, now for the fun part. We're gonna go ahead and grab your smaller brush, flathead brush, and with this, I'm telling you, you're gonna just use a little paint. If your lines start getting a little funky, take your paper towel and brush the paint off. I don't want any more than that much paint on your brush when you're doing your lines. Trust me, it will be a lot easier if you just have a little paint. Clean your brush as many times as you need to. So I'm gonna start from the top and work my way down. So I'm gonna go ahead and trace the line of the hat. All right. All right, when you're painting thin lines, you are gonna hold your paintbrush pretty much like you would hold it when you are using a pencil or pen. And if you want a thin line, you need to make sure that you are barely putting any pressure on the paintbrush to the canvas. So I am barely putting any pressure. If you want a thicker line, you're gonna put more pressure down on your brush. So all you righties, we're gonna start on the right eye. All you lucky lefties, you're gonna start on your right eye. I think I said that right. So I am barely putting any pressure on this brush when I make this thin line. And I'm basically gonna trace and then go back over and thicken it up in some spots. And as you can see, I am pulling the paint into the middle of the plate. Barely any paint is on this brush. You do not want much paint. And I'm gonna keep saying that, reminding you. You want your bristles to be straight, little paint as you go for this part. Now, we all make mistakes sometimes with the painting and stuff. Using acrylic paint is my favorite medium to use because if you make a mistake, you can always fix it. You can always paint over top any mistake that you make with acrylic paint. It's a lot harder to fix with watercolor or oil paints. So if you mess up, all you're gonna do is wait for it to dry. And once it dries, just paint white over top of whatever you messed up on your mistake. And you might have to, if you use black, you might have to use a couple coats of white, but you need to make sure that it is completely dry before you paint over it. So if you make a mistake on the eye, finish whatever you're doing with the eyes. Do your mustache and then go back over and paint over top of it white and then let it dry. If you need to put another coat of paint on top, go ahead and do that. All right, so we got our first layer of the black around the eye. Now, you can see these lines are much thicker. So I'm just gonna go back over with paint, just like I was doing before, just a little paint on there. If you start getting paint up into this metal part, clean your brush. I want that brush to be clean so you can keep making those thin lines. All right, so I'm gonna go a little bit thicker on this around here. And then you can go ahead and do your eyeball too if you want. Be very careful with your eyeball. I like to just use my paintbrush and kind of just twist it in circle. And remember, very light pressure. You want a pretty thin line on there. Okay. Just be patient, take your time with this. It's probably gonna be the hardest part of your painting is painting these eyeballs. But with patience, you'll be able to do it, okay? And I'm gonna finish this side before I start on the next because I don't wanna smear my hand on any wet paint. Just take your time, have fun with it. I am putting a little more pressure down when I'm doing these lines, okay? You can see the lines getting a little bit thicker. All right. If you mess up, you can always fix it, okay? You can always go back over it. All right, make sure you don't see any of the canvas background. See any white spots on there, just go over top of it. And we're gonna go ahead and do your other eye. And I'm definitely putting a lot more pressure when I'm applying my brush to my canvas, just so I have a thicker line. And remember to clean your brush up if your lines are getting wonky. And remember to go on both sides. Just makes it cleaner line. All right. I'm gonna take my paper towel. My lines are getting a little crazy. I'm just gonna pull off all that paint and grab some more paint. All right. do the other eyeball. Remember to kind of just twist your brush so it gives it that round. And you know, my eyes are not perfect right now. I like for my final details to go back over and fix any lines up, so that's what we're gonna do at the very end. All right. As you can see, the middle of the eyes, they kind of look like little hearts. To do that, you're gonna use the bottom of your paintbrush, and I am just gonna put a little paint on that, and you're just gonna do like a little V. Take that, need a little more paint on there, and do a little V. Cute, huh? All right, do the same for this side. Dab it in your black paint. And all right, voila. This one's a little bit skinnier. I'm gonna add more to it. Okie dokie. Clean that up. Now onto the mustache. All right, so just a quick reminder. You can see this line. This is where your teeth are gonna be. Halfway down there. I just wanna remind you. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark this up on here just like this line is. So you're gonna keep a little space in between here, but you're gonna just take your pencil and just do, it's like a little football shape. All right? I want you to have a little space in between there. All right, if you want, you can go ahead and sketch out your teeth. So I have this one with 4 teeth right there. If you want to sketch that out, you can do that now. So basically you're gonna take your pencil right in the middle. He's got a little gap right there. You're just gonna draw, and the bottom of the tooth is kind of rounded. Okay, and you're just gonna do the same on this side. Try to make them look pretty even. So I'm gonna do that, and then this, same, just do that, and then the same for this side, okay. So you're gonna have your 4 teeth. This is all gonna be black, your teeth are gonna be white, and we're gonna outline the teeth in black as well. All right, so let's get started with your mustache. We're basically just gonna outline the whole mustache, just like we did the eyes. So I want you to, sorry, that was bothering me. I want you to start from this side. If your eyes are really wet, take your hairdryer, let it dry. If you're worried about smearing it, you're gonna take your flat, small brush and just start outlining it, okay? Then you're gonna take this, like before, when you're using your brush around corners and stuff, if you just twirl it a little bit like that, it makes it so much easier. But if you need to turn your canvas sideways, by all means, go ahead and do that. I know it makes it easier, especially with the little hands painting. All right. I'm just gonna outline all of this. And you can use your bigger brush if you want to fill it in. If you feel more comfortable using this brush to fill it in, by all means, go ahead and do that as well. All right. I know my kids and I are super excited about spring break coming up. I know you guys have spring break, 2nd week in April. Can't wait. And then you only have like a month of school left after that for summer break. I'm so looking forward to it. All right, just keep tracing. If you make a mistake and go outside the line, no big deal. You can make your mustache a little bit bigger if you want. I don't think anyone's gonna notice. I went a little over on this one. All right, now we're gonna fill in your mustache. You can use your little brush. If you want to use your bigger brush, by all means do that. I think I've mentioned that before. And you can put a little more paint on your brush this time. All right. I'm gonna grab my bigger brush just because make it go a little easier, faster. Just be careful you don't go into the white if you are using your bigger brush. And make sure your paint is smoothed out. Just blend it real good. You don't want big clump, take forever to dry. Just looks cleaner if you use less paint. Make sure you're covering your canvas. Blend it through. It's starting to look like a painting now. Gotta trust the process. It takes a while. Once you start adding all the details, it's really gonna come together and look awesome. All right. Make sure you're blending, pulling that paint. If you have too much, I think I put a little too much on mine there. It's all right though. All right. And he has a mustache. Just gotta make sure I have it all spread out. All right. Now on to the teeth. All right. When you do this, guys, I want you to make sure you do not have any black. Make sure you clean your brush super good. I have clean water here. I'm gonna use my smaller brush again because we're gonna make those teeth white. And I'm still pulling up black on here, so I want you to make sure that it's completely cleaned off. There's no black in there. You don't want gray teeth. Okay. All right, I think I'm good. So just gonna pull the white, very little white, guys. For this base, just put a little paint, white paint on the brush. I want you to be able to kind of see the pencil lines that you have on there. I can still see it on here. I don't know if you can tell by looking at the video, but I can still see them. Make sure you have white covering your canvas. If you go up into the mustache a little bit, you can always go back over it. And I just put my hand in the black paint, so it's still wet up there. Just be careful when you do that because I don't want you smearing the black. So if you get paint on your hand, you can either wash it off or take your paper towel and make sure. There you go. It happens. Trust the process, be patient with it. And most importantly, I want you guys to have fun, okay? I hope you are. I know I am. Okie dokie, finished. I can still see my pencil lines, which is perfect. Clean your brush off real good. And we're gonna fill the mouth part in with the black. All right. And make sure you don't have too much. I put too much paint on there that time. Clean that up a little bit. Make sure you dry your brush pretty good too after you put it in the water cup. Just outline the mouth. Just like we did the eyes and the mustache. Then you're gonna pull the paint around the teeth and fill it in. Let's go ahead and put the lines in between the teeth. I want you to barely put any pressure on your brush when you do this line. I want it to be super thin. You don't want super like buck teeth in there, so just barely put any pressure and just bring it down, okay? So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do it for all of these. Now, if you put a lot of white paint on those teeth, I want you to make sure that it's pretty dry. Mine's dry already. Acrylic paint dries super fast, so mine's dry, but if you did put a lot of white paint on there, make sure that it's dry before you start working on this part. And then you're just gonna do a little bloop, a little loop, looks like a parenthesis almost, on all the teeth. Try to go over top of the sketch that you put on there. If it makes it easier, you can just go like that on that side and then join it on this side, whatever's easier for you. But I like to just twist my brush with my thumb. All right, just like that. And you're just gonna fill this in. Guys, we're getting close. Just gotta do the hat, fix the background. I hope you guys have been thinking about how you can make this painting extra. Someone's gonna be winning that iPad. I want you guys to stand out. So see some of your personalities come out in this painting when you do your background. Maybe you can discuss with your dad, get creative, figure something fun out. I'll show you a couple techniques that I think would look good. But by all means, if you think of something, you come up with something creative, go ahead and do it. I want to see what you guys come up with. I'm just going over top. There's a couple of spots on here that I can still see the canvas. So if you see any white in your mustache, go ahead and blend it. But we got our teeth though. How cute is that? It's coming together. All right. Now we're gonna go ahead. You might need to let this dry a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and put my eyebrows on the top. So basically, for the eyebrows, they look like little parentheses, like little rainbows. I don't know what you want to call them, but you're gonna take your pencil and sketch. Just do like little line like that, and you're gonna just connect it. Just go to the opposite side. These are gonna be pointing up a little bit, okay? And you're just gonna connect it Gonna look like little parentheses on there. All right, then you're gonna go on this side, do the same thing. All right, look down a little bit on that. All right. All right, you're gonna fill those in with the black paint as well. If this is wet, you might need to wait for that to dry. We can go ahead and actually, I'm gonna show you how to do these little baseball lines too. They basically are just little T's. So I'm gonna put a couple of these guys. It's gonna come down the side of your painting, okay? These are just little guidance marks. Do the same on this side. So these lines are gonna go up this way and down this way. This side's gonna just go this side, kind of slant it a little bit that way, your top line, and then down. And these are just for guidance. You don't have to press very hard on these. I'm making mine a little bit darker so you guys can see on the camera. You don't want to press it too hard. You might have to do like 2 coats of red paint if you do, which isn't a big deal, but save you some little time. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 on both sides of that, okay? All right. Where did my paintbrush go? I lost my paintbrush. Oh, it was in my cup of water. All right, we're gonna clean your brush real good. And we can go ahead and do your eyebrows real quick. Just like before, we're gonna trace it, so a little pressure on your brush. You're just gonna outline it. Just a little paint on it at a time. And do the same for both eyeballs. So very light pressure, guys. You should be experts at doing the lines by the time this painting's over with. It's not the easiest, I'm not gonna lie. That's why I made sure to sketch out your eyes and that mustache, because it's not easy. Especially if you haven't painted in a long time. Just gonna fill this in, okay? Everything's dry down here, so I'm not concerned about smearing anything. If yours is still wet, you might need to just take a few minutes, take a break, use the restroom, or grab a snack. If it's still wet, I don't want any smears. Just makes more work for you. And if you do mess up, you guys, I want you to just let it dry and then go over top of it with your white paint. And you might need to let it dry in between coats. Just because it's black, sometimes you have to go over top of it like 3 times, but you have to let it dry in between each one process. All right. I think the eyebrows make him look like he has a little personality. Cute. It's looking cute. All right, on to the next eyebrow. I hope you guys are jamming out to your favorite songs right now. Enjoying this father-son time with each other. Hope you're enjoying your activity. You get to, once you're finished, you get to hang these up in your house. Maybe think about where you're gonna hang them. All right. And you're just gonna fill this in, guys. Just like you did on the other side. Just be careful, it's kind of hard to, with this brush, I want you to just kind of drag it down, fill it in. It's kind of the perfect size for this brush. I don't know if you can see, put it flat like that. All right, eyebrows are complete. Now we're gonna go ahead and get your red. If your red paint is dry, I know it's been sitting on the plate for a little while, you might need to put a little more red paint on there. Make sure your brush is completely free of that black paint. When you do it, we're gonna use the same brush we were using before. Clean, clean, clean it up. And you're just gonna pull the paint like you did before for your lines. Now for this, I am just gonna dab it down. You don't want the line to be too big, but that's all you're gonna do. And make it a T. It looks like a T. That's all it is. You're just gonna work your way down. Try to make them pretty much even. You can use the base. You can make it that length if you want, the length of your brush. If you want to make it a little bit bigger, you can do that as well. I think it looks good either way. I'm making mine a little bit bigger than the brush. And I'm just dabbing it. That's all I'm doing. They don't have to be absolutely perfect. I'm just gonna work my way down. Okay. Last one on this side. And I'm gonna start on this one. Do the same thing you did on the other side. I think adding all these little details really helps pop your painting out. You can see kind of what it's gonna look like. It's starting to come alive. We're gonna do the hat next. It's gonna be super fun. Finished. Voila. All right. Onto the hat. All right, as you can see, we already have this part. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in. When you do this, I want you to look, you're gonna pretty much just do the lines. So you want white, red, right? Just gonna do like little humps like that. I'm gonna go ahead and show you on here with my black. If you wanna sketch it, you guys can, but I'm gonna go ahead and just go over it in black so you can see it on here, because I don't think the pencil's gonna show up on this painting. So I'm gonna go ahead and outline everything in black for you guys. So if you just wanna watch this and then sketch it out, I think that's probably a good idea. And I'm gonna use my big paintbrush for this, my big flat brush, just because I think it'll be easier for you guys to see. And I'm kind of want to be loose with this paint, the hat, just because I don't think it needs to be as structured. And I'll give you an example of that. I've did this painting a couple times. With this one, I feel like this is another one that I did. I don't like how perfect that looks, if that makes sense. I think this hat looks so much better, and I was so much looser with it. So I want you to kind of be loose with this hat. But if you want to sketch it out, you can. If you feel comfortable doing it the way I'm doing it, do that as well, by all means. All right, so I'm gonna close up this hat.
top. This brush. My paint's kind of drying up. All right. So, just like we did that mouth part, you're gonna just basically, this is me just being loose with my brush, guys. So, you're gonna do the little parenthesis marks, looks like a little football, not so much a football, a little bit skinny for a football, but you get the picture. And you're gonna go outside to where that T is, basically, and form that hat line, okay? I'm gonna use this brush because I don't know, for some reason that's not working very good. So I'm gonna do kind of like a parenthesis on this side, same on this side. So that's gonna be the base of your hat. So this is the bill pretty much, the bill of your hat. And you're gonna pull that up like that, okay? And you're gonna pull this, and this is all gonna be black. All black, okay? So that's the first line. The second line, this is gonna be in white. And I want it to go pretty much straight up. So you're gonna do another parenthesis on this side, okay? This is gonna be your white line. So that's that. And you're gonna curve this over. I don't want it to be a straight line, but you're just gonna curve it a little bit. It's not perfectly straight, but it has a little curve to it, okay? So go ahead. You can completely fill that in with black. This is gonna be white. All right, that next stripe above that is gonna be red. So guess what? Parentheses, same thing. This is probably a little less than an inch between each one, a little less than an inch. And you're just gonna do the same thing. Curve it up a little bit. You don't want a perfectly straight line. You're gonna curve it up. And on to the next one. So this next one, you're gonna do this is gonna be a thinner one, okay? So you're gonna do parentheses. This is gonna be a little bit thinner of a line, okay? So make it a little bit thinner than the ones that you did. These two are about even. This is gonna be about half the size of what that other line was below, the other lines below that. So that's gonna be white. And then you're gonna go back to the same size that you had below, about an inch height width, do your parentheses, round it out. And then we're gonna do another smaller layer, and that's gonna be your white on top, and then that's gonna be the top of the hat, okay? If you need to push pause to catch up, go ahead, by all means, go ahead and do that. Push that pause button. This one is gonna be smaller because it's gonna be your white, and it's gonna be the top of your hat. So for this one, round it out just like you did below, okay? That's just, if you wanna do this in pencil, by all means do that in pencil before you put it up there with paint, just to make it easier, whatever's easier on you. I like to be kind of loose with this part of the painting. All right, now I'm gonna fill in the colors. I'm gonna go ahead and do all my black since I already have black on this. So I'm gonna fill in all of this with the black. So you have the round part, don't forget to put that edge over there, okay? Just makes the hat look more fitted. And you can tell this painting's starting to look like Mr. Redlegs. It's really starting to look like it. I'm gonna, after we do this, the hat, I'm gonna show you a couple different things you can do on your background, okay? And then if you need to fix up, touch up anything on your painting, go ahead and do that as well after you're finished, okay? clean up any lines if you don't like the way something looks. If it looks a little crooked, you can go over it. All right. Yeah, we're getting so close to being finished. Exciting. All right. Now I'm just gonna thicken up these lines up here. So just put a lot of pressure on that paintbrush. And with the hat, I want you to kind of blend colors on. I don't mind if it mixes. We're gonna add, as you can see, let me show you real quick. We're gonna add a little red over top. We're gonna add a little black into the white. So I want it kind of looks vintage. Yeah, we're gonna thicken these lines up and then we'll go ahead and add your colors in. All right. I don't care if my lines aren't perfectly straight. Just want to make sure my canvas is covered and you can see the line. And we're going to add your colors in between. Okay. If you go over a little bit, that's fine. You can just clean it up, you know? All right, I think we're ready to add our colors. Make sure you clean your brush really good. And I want to probably start with the white first. So make sure you have all the paint off your brush. And I'm gonna need to grab a little more white paint, put on my plate. I'm gonna start with the top line is gonna be white. I'm just gonna spread my white paint. Fill that in, all right? And then I'm gonna skip a line. This is gonna be red, but this one's gonna be white too, okay? So skip a line. Fill it in. Fill that in, okay? Skip the next one. That's gonna be red, and then this one's gonna be white, okay? Go ahead. Fill that in. Now, this is like the fun part. I feel like down here we had to make sure the lines were perfect. You can be a little more free with this. I think it looks better when you just are free with your lines. You don't have to worry about straight lines. Proud of you guys for getting this far with me. It's definitely a process creating any type of artwork, so I appreciate you guys sticking through it with me. All right, I think we are finished with the white. I'm just gonna take whatever's left over, go into down here a little bit. This is called a dry brush stroke. I don't have much paint at all on this brush, but what I do have on there, A dry brush stroke is basically little paint, no water on it, and you just pull. I'm barely touching the canvas when I do it, okay? And we're gonna do the same, put some black into that. So let me show you real quick with the black. There's gonna be barely any paint on this brush. There's barely any on there. I'm gonna take it, barely press down on the canvas and go across, okay? So you can kind of see it's not white anymore. It has a little, just gives it a highlight, okay? That's a dry brush stroke. So if you wanna try that, by all means do so. Gives it a cool effect. I'm barely pushing down on the canvas. You can go like this. Let me see if I can show you. Go on the back of my hand. All right, so I'm barely touching. And you can see how it kind of pulls up, but not really. Well, that's a dry brush stroke, okay? Makes it look a little vintage. I don't know, I like that look a lot. All right, so I'm gonna clean my brush and we're gonna dip into the red. Add some red to this painting. So the dry brush stroke technique, guys, that's what I did with my background. So you can do your dry brush stroke technique on your background. If you want, you can keep it plain if you want. You can put words on the background. But I hope you've been thinking about what you're gonna do with it. I like the dry brush stroke technique on backgrounds. I do that a lot with a lot of my paintings. So I'm gonna show you how to do that after we finish with the hat. Okay. Fill all this in with the red. Starting to look good, guys. We're getting there. All right. So I have a little, the red paint, the one I'm using, I can see right now, I know you have a different paint, but with the red on top of a darker background, you might have to let this dry and go back over with another coat of paint. Same with the white. If you can kind of see the background still, if you don't like it, if it's not dark enough for you, just let it dry and then paint over top of it, okay? So I have a little bit of red on here. I'm trying to put more on here, but I'm gonna go ahead and go into the black a little bit and pull some with red into the cap. I don't know, I really like that look. And guess what? If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. And if you think you put too much on, let it dry and you can paint back over top of it. You can put black over top of it. After this dries, if that's too much for you, just go over top of it with the black, okay? You can use your finger and kind of smear it. All right, I'm gonna pull up a little black now. See how you can go over top with the black? If it's too much in some areas. I don't like how white that is right there. I'm just gonna go back over it. I'm gonna add some black to the red part of my hat. I'm barely touching the canvas, you guys, with this. So you barely touch and just put your hand back and forth, back and forth. Barely have to touch it, okay? Put some into the white, a little more. You can even add some red to your white. But that texturized look, I'm telling you, it just really pulls your painting together, and the shading just makes it look so much better. Gives it such good contrast of colors. All right, if you want to go outside of painting a little bit, you can do that as well. So you can highlight the outside of your hat. And then we're gonna go ahead and I'll show you how to do the brush strokes for your background. It's the dry brush technique. So I'm basically just gonna take, let's start with black. You can use your bigger brush. You might like that look better. I think I'm going to use my bigger brush for this. And since it's a dry brush, you need to make sure any excess water is off of this brush, okay? Any excess water, I want it to be dry, 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 okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my black. You're not gonna need very much paint on there. And then I'm gonna dip like a corner in the red, okay? And then you're just gonna go up, down. I am just gonna go all over the place with this, okay? If you wanna keep it solid, you can do that. Put a little red in there. Try to make sure it's kind of straight. You want straight lines. I kind of want a little crooked down there. But yeah, I think this looks so cool. Gives a great contrast with colors. You can add a little white. And I am just dabbing my paintbrush in here, okay? You can add a little white on one end and a little red on the other. Barely touch the canvas. I'm telling you, it goes a long way. It looks so much better if you just barely touch the canvas. And after you guys do this, we're gonna have one more step to do. We're almost finished. We need to outline the head on this. Okay, and then we're done. You can clean up any lines. If you don't like any of the lines, you can go over it. Just make sure you don't go inside the baseball when you do this. I'm gonna grab a little red. Put some red. I'm barely touching the canvas. When I do this, I don't have much paint on my brush. And kind of make it even all over. Balance out your colors. Okay. I am so excited. I had so much fun painting with you guys today. I've really, I'll say it again, really miss painting with people in person. I just like to meet everyone I paint with. So maybe one day we can paint with each other in person. How about that? All right. What do you guys think? Did you have fun? Super excited about how it turned out. I think it looks pretty good. I'm gonna just go ahead and outline this baseball head. So back to thin lines again, guys. Thought we were finished, but we're not. Almost though. Just a thin line. It's gonna make his head pop out. We're gonna come around. And just trace it. That's all you're doing. Remember, light pressure. You can always go back over. You don't want your line too thick, but if you want a thicker line, it's fine. I just like to start thin and then go back over it. All right, kiddos. Voila, we are finished. I'm gonna add a little more black to my background. I had to put some more paint on there. My plate, I'm gonna put just a little more black on my background. Now, if you guys don't wanna do the brush strokes, you don't have to. You can add whatever you want to your background. If you just want to put one color and not the red, white, or red, black, and white on there, do that as well. And guess what? If you end up painting this look after you do it, you can go back over and paint in a solid color once it dries, so there's no mistakes. I am so proud of you all for completing this painting, and I hope you had as much fun as me today. And I want to remind you to take a picture of your paintings, and you're going to post it on River Edge's Facebook page for a chance to win an iPad. You guys are so lucky. I told my kids about this and they wanted to switch schools. I'm not joking either. I'm just gonna add a little more colors to around the hat. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I just being a little extra right now. So go through, add any more highlights that you want, fix your lines if you need to fix any lines. I like to take a picture of my painting when I'm finished, and then I'll be like, oh, that eye looks a little off, or there's too much of one color, and then I fix it. So go ahead and do that. I had so much fun painting with you guys today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, friends, for painting with me today. I really enjoyed myself. I hope you love your painting, and I can't wait to see what you guys did. There's mine. All right. I'm so happy and I'm so thankful and grateful for this opportunity to paint with you guys. And I look forward to seeing your post on River Edge's Facebook page. And I can't wait to see who wins. I'm not sure who's going to be judging or picking or how that's going to work, but for an entry, you have to submit a picture. So go ahead and do that. Probably do it sooner than later, and I can't wait to see what you guys did. I hope you had as much fun as I did. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.